They came in as saviors. First round picks are just fresh faces to the franchise, but something always goes wrong. Whether it's the curse of the lake in Cleveland or the Windy City Blues in Chicago, the question has to be asked, where do quarterbacks really go to die?
The Cleveland Browns is where quarterbacks go to die. And we've seen it time and time and time again.
You stink, Browns! Browns, you stink!
I feel bad for Justin Fields. Like this situation this is where quarterbacks have gone to die.
Even legendary quarterback Jim McMahon said it himself about a team he played 7 seasons for.
You know, the Chicago's always been known for their defense, right?
Yep.
Their defense and their running game. I think it's where quarterbacks go to die. I mean,
so we're going to briefly discuss every big name quarterback from 2010 up until now 2025. And by the end of this video, I want you to answer the question, which franchise have truly been a quarterback graveyard? Let me just start off by saying this, the Bears have started 29 quarterbacks since 2000. Some of you probably weren't even born yet, but we're gonna fast forward a little bit. In 2009, the Chicago Bears made what felt like a franchise-altering move. They traded 2 first-round picks and quarterback Kyle Orton to the Denver Broncos for a gunslinger named Jay Cutler. The hype was there. Cutler was fresh off a 4,500-yard, 25-touchdown Pro Bowl season. For the first time since Sid Luckman, it felt like the Bears had a real-deal quarterback.
Couldn't be more excited. You know, I'm here to help this team win and bring a championship back to Chicago.
And in 2010, he delivered 3,200 yards and 23 touchdowns, and the Bears won the NFC North. Cutler led the Bears to a divisional title and a trip to the NFC Championship game, but that game will be his peak and the beginning of the end. Jay connected on just 6 of 14 passes for 80 yards and an INT before limping off with a knee sprain, and Chicago fell 21 of 14. This would be the last playoff game the Bears saw for a decade. And over the next few seasons, Jay faced a firestorm of criticism. His sideline demeanor was just horrible and was interpreted as everything from soft to selfish. Teammates questioned his leadership.
He's the most enigmatic quarterback in the league. I mean, people are like, were there guys that thought he was a jerk?
And it's not just guys in the locker room. He rubbed a lot of people the wrong way.
Jay Cutler just had this effing demeanor.
Analysts described his body language as outright toxic, saying it gave off a "I'd rather be somewhere else" type of vibe. And fans, they were confused. Was this truly their savior or another disappointment?
You can't win with him. You can't. And everybody keeps talking about, well, he's had 4 or 5 different offensive coordinators because they keep getting them fired or they keep quitting.
Over the years, Jay became known as much for his turnovers and tantrums as his talent. There's a clip of him from 2011 telling one of his teammates to relay a message to their head coach at the time, Mike Martz.
Even as he stepped up, he just sort of stiff-armed his own guy, found a little...
But one of his worst days came in 2012 at Lambeau Field when Cutler went 11 of 27 for 126 yards and 4 interceptions and a 28.2 passer rating in a blowout loss, and was caught even shoving one of his tackles out of frustration on the sideline. Despite having multiple offensive coordinators and setting nearly every franchise passing record, Cutler never returned to the playoffs. By 2016, the Bears had seen enough. He left as the franchise leader in yards and touchdowns, a stat sheet hero with no playoff legacy to match, just a 51-51 record and 1 playoff win. Fast forward to 2017, the Bears had a top 3 pick and a chance to reshape their future. Their quarterback class was stacked: Patrick Mahomes, Deshaun Watson, and Mitchell Trubisky. But guess what? Chicago shocked the world by trading up to number 2 to take the 1-year starter from North Carolina.
The Chicago Bears select Mitchell Trubisky.
The move was bold and immediately controversial.
Oh my God, no! No!
Mitchell Trubisky, who I never heard of, by the way, and I don't believe that his resume mandates that you move up to get him with the number 2 overall pick in the NFL draft.
And I'm going to give the Bears a D- over this indefensibly idiotic move.
The city, however, held their breath, questioning could he end the curse. In 2018, it looked like it might work. Mitchell threw for 3,200 yards, 24 touchdowns, and helped the Bears to a 12-4 season. He even made the Pro Bowl, but in the wildcard round, Destiny smacked Chicago in the face with a double doink.
The Bears' season's going to end on a double doink. 1.
Cody Parkey's game-winning field goal attempt hit the upright and crossbar. Fans froze at Soldier Field as the Eagles advanced 16-15. Trubisky's bright moment in Bear history turned to ash overnight, and after that low, the roller coaster never stopped. The next 2 years, his play wandered all over the place. He struggled with on-field vision, decision-making, and consistency. More offensive coordinators came and went, and the offense stagnated. He rallied 1 week and stumbled the next, never quite living up to the lofty number 2 pick billing. In 2020, the Bears traded a 4th-round pick for Nick Foles and declined Trubisky's 5th-year option. By mid-season, Trubisky was benched and quietly left the team after the 2020 season, with no big bang but a shrug. After Trubisky failed, the Bears turned to a quarterback who had once pulled off the impossible. Nick Foles, the Super Bowl 52 MVP, was supposed to be the calming presence, the clutch performer in the chaos. The city sighed in relief. At least we had the man who done it before, but from the first snaps, it was clear something didn't fit. And he was just another name in the carousel. Foles never found a rhythm in Matt Nagy's offense. In his Bears debut loss to the Rams, he went 28 of 40 for 261 yards and took 4 sacks and threw 2 costly interceptions that sunk the comeback. And it was the moments like that, drives ending in picks or strip sacks, that became the norm. Statistically, by late October, he had as many picks as touchdowns, and fans had seen enough of the vet. After losing the starting job and being moved to the 3rd string, Nick just became an expensive sideline observer. By April 2022, he was released, another reminder that past glory doesn't guarantee present success. The Bears signed Andy Dalton in 2021, and for some reason, they thought it was the right idea to immediately crown him QB1. Because once they dropped this tweet, let's just say it wasn't received how they hoped. They was getting cooked on Twitter. There's no way the Bears social media manager isn't trolling. I'm not in the correct headspace to be trolled by the Bears tonight. Positive vibes only. These fools really went out and made the dumbest decision and probably announced it to the world. You know it's bad when people think they're being trolled, but no, the Bears are dead ass serious.
He chose Trubisky in the draft. He moved up to get him ahead of guys named Watson and Mahomes. Now he's choosing Dalton over Trubisky, who he drafted. Yeah. This is a disaster.
And every time Dalton touched the field, he was faced with a wave of boos and chants for his backup.
So as you thought, Andy Dalton will continue to be out there. Again, the Bears fans a little restless, but this is Andy Dalton's football team.
Dalton started the season, but quickly lost his grip. After a 1-3 start, the Bears turned to the next guy. Dalton's role as a mentor was short-lived, and his time in Chicago was over by the end of the season. And his time in the Windy City was defined more by memes than moments. In 2021, the Bears had their own Cinderella story. Chicago traded up to grab Ohio State's Justin Fields at number 11 overall, convinced he was the unicorn quarterback who could scramble and sling. Justin arrived with highlight reels already made. He electrified the crowd with one-handed touchdown catches and Houdini-like escapes from sacks. He ran like a freight train too. By 2022, he became only the 3rd NFL quarterback to ever rush for 1,000 yards, joining Michael Vick and Lamar Jackson. Bears fans cherished those runs. Justin even scored rushing touchdowns in 6 straight games, the longest streak by a quarterback since 1950. Yet, Justin also became the saga's sacrificial lamb. Week after week, people blamed him when the offense failed. Stat for stat, analysts showed Chicago's line was actually pretty good. ESPN ranked their pass block win rate 5th in the league, but Justin held the ball for a career high 3 seconds on average. That turned out to be the death sentence. By the end of 2021, he had been sacked 22 times in just 9 games. The play calling under Nagy lacked creativity and turnovers piled up. Despite glimpses of greatness, Justin never put it all together. By 2024, the Bears had seen enough. With the number 1 pick in hand, they traded Fields to the Steelers and hit the reset button once again. The newest chapter is just beginning, and all eyes are on a once-in-a-generation talent,
Caleb Williams.
The Heisman-winning rookie who lit up college football for USC was taken number 1 overall by Chicago in 2024, carrying an entire city's hopes on his shoulders. Even in year 1, the hype was deafening, and reality hasn't dimmed it. Caleb threw 3,500 yards, 20 touchdowns, and just 6 interceptions in his first NFL season. Solid numbers enough to turn heads. Yet, every week, Chicagoans couldn't help comparing him to his draft classmate, Jaden Daniels, picked just 1 slot later, who immediately played like an MVP. The contrast put the pressure into overdrive. Management screamed the message loud and clear. They didn't just bring Caleb to play, they bet a franchise on him. New head coach Ben Johnson was hired on the premise that everything, a revamped offensive line, elite skill additions, and a high-powered scheme was built to help Caleb flourish. One sports writer noted that Williams is one of the 10 players with the most to prove in 2025, giving all the expectations. But even then, stories have recently came out that Caleb really didn't want to end up in Chicago last year. Why, you may ask? His father Carl Williams was quoted from a book saying the answer to this video: Chicago is a place where quarterbacks go to die. The Williams family consulted with lawyers ahead of the draft, looking for a way around the collective bargaining agreement. They even considered having Caleb play in the UFL for a season. Caleb didn't really believe in former Bears offensive coordinator Shane Waldron, and at the NFL Combine, he met with the Minnesota Vikings, where he fell in love with the idea of playing under head coach Kevin O'Connell. "I need to go to the Vikings," Caleb told his father, who responded, "Let's do it." But once the draft rolled around, it was too late. A gauntlet has been thrown. Every new O-line sign, every shiny draft pick seems to say Caleb must pan out. If he fails, it's not just a rookie jitter story, it's a saga continuing. For now, fans wait and watch. Chicago's curse is still unbroken, but maybe, just maybe, a generational talent is the coin flip that finally falls the right way. Only time will tell how chapter 1 of this story ends, but one thing's clear: the drama is far from over. Just when you thought Chicago had the NFL's monopoly on quarterback misery, there's another franchise that makes failure at the position look like an art form. Welcome to the Dog Pound, where quarterbacks go to disappear. This is the place where every new savior arrives to confetti and applause, only to leave in silence. Starting with Colt McCoy, who entered the league with toughness, heart, and a Longhorn-sized resume. A Heisman finalist and Texas legend, he was drafted in the 3rd round by the Browns in 2010.
I really didn't think that he would be available to us. I really felt that he would go before we had a chance to pick him.
But college accolades mean nothing behind a collapsing NFL pocket. Thrust into the starting role as a rookie due to injuries and desperation, Colt took beating after beating behind one of the worst offensive lines in football. His most infamous moment came in 2011 when James Harrison of the Steelers delivered a hit so violent, it essentially changed the NFL's approach to concussions. And let me just plug this vid real quick, because this highlight is just a glimpse into how Steelers players really get down. But back to Colt, he clearly should have been done for the day, but Cleveland trainers cleared him to return almost immediately. And 2 plays later, a clearly out of it Colt McCoy tossed an interception that sealed a 14-3 loss. He only realized it was bad a little bit too late. Colt never practiced again that week and later admitted to concussion-like symptoms. The NFL eventually intervened, forcing the Browns to keep a certified concussion spotter in their press box each week for the rest of the season. This was the first chapter in Cleveland's history of mismanaging quarterback injuries, one that still stings in Browns lore. In 3 years, he played under 3 offensive systems, was never properly protected, and became the face of Cleveland's dysfunctions. By 2013, he was traded away to San Francisco, another promising name added to the pile of what could have beens. The Browns followed up the Colt McCoy era with a head-scratching pick.
The Cleveland Browns select Brandon. No. Oh my God. Brandon Wheaton.
Brandon Wheaton, a 28-year-old rookie drafted in the 1st round, the idea they thought he was pro-ready, but in reality, he was just too damn old. In Brandon's Cleveland debut, he was blitzed repeatedly, plummeting to a 5.1 passer rating with 4 interceptions, one of the worst opening stat lines in modern history. Turnovers became a problem. By season's end, he threw 14 touchdowns to 17 picks. Defenses easily keyed on his limitations, which he couldn't move very well and couldn't escape the rush, and the league knew it. The pressure caved in on the Browns offense almost every week. He lost his job in year 2 and the Browns went a combined 6-26 with him under center. Eventually he was released after those 2 seasons. The mature quarterback experiment turned out to be a rushed and regrettable misfire. Then came the man who shook up the college football world like no other.
With the 22nd pick in the 2014 NFL Draft, the Cleveland Browns select Johnny Manziel.
Johnny Football. That name alone had a heartbeat. Drafted 22nd overall in 2014, Johnny arrived with a mixtape worthy of college highlights and enough swagger to fill 2 stadiums by himself. Fans chanted his name before he ever took a snap.
Hey guys, what do you think about that?
Johnny Manziel.
But once the lights came on, the performance didn't match the promise. Behind the glamour was a brewing disaster. Manziel missed off-season workouts, skipped rehab check-ins, and turned the team's city residence into a 24/7 party pad. Sports Illustrated reported that one day team security actually visited Johnny's home to check in on him after he was a no-show for practice and therapy. On the field, he was erratic, throwing just 5 touchdowns and 8 interceptions in 8 starts. He missed team meetings, got fined, and benched multiple times, and videos of him partying during bye weeks made more headlines than anything he did on Sundays.
Last month, Johnny was benched after this video surfaced showing him partying during bye week, so the jury's still out on this one.
By 2015, the Manziel circus finally packed up. Even when given opportunities, he showed up hungover or not at all. The tipping point came at early 2016, facing a public domestic violence scandal and a lot of off-field shenanigans. Cleveland had heard enough. On March 11th, Johnny's era in Cleveland ended with a swift waiver, and fans let out a collective sigh of relief. The biggest disappointment in football in recent history. Fast forward a few seasons, Cleveland needed stability at QB1 badly. In March of 2018, they signed Tyrod Taylor to be a bridge until their latest draft darling arrived. He was there to hold things down until they thought Baker Mayfield was ready, which he ended up starting 3 games. Then came week 3, a Thursday night football game against the Jets. Tyrod got injured. Baker came in and led a comeback win, and the rest was history. Taylor never started another game for the Browns, and he quietly exited after the season, a footnote in an ever-growing list of quarterbacks who passed through Cleveland without leaving a mark. Then finally, it felt like Cleveland had found their guy, Baker Mayfield, the #1 overall pick in 2018. He brought swagger, grit, and results. He broke the rookie record for touchdown passes with 27. He reignited belief, and in 2020, he did the unthinkable.
The Browns will get their 11th win of the year. They'll go to 11-5, and they're going to the playoffs. And the Cleveland Browns have made it into the NFL playoffs for the first time in 18 long years.
Baker led the Browns to their first playoff win since 1994. Torching the Steelers, he threw for 263 yards and 3 touchdowns. In a city starved for a big win, the moment was electric. But the honeymoon didn't last. Injuries started piling up, and the arrival of superstar wideout OBJ in 2019 was supposed to elevate Baker, but instead, it sparked locker room soap operas. OBJ publicly griping that Baker refused to throw him the ball made headlines. Reports of locker room tension and inconsistent play clouded his once bright future. By 2021, the Browns were shopping for upgrades. In a stunning move, they traded for Deshaun Watson, and Baker was sent packing to Carolina. But just when you thought it couldn't get any crazier, Cleveland's most dramatic quarterback splash came in March of 2022, when the Browns traded 3 first-round picks plus additional mid-rounders to Houston for superstar Deshaun Watson. They quickly inked him to a 5-year, $230 million fully guaranteed contract, an NFL record at the time. It was a crazy all-in bet due to all the lawsuits he was facing back then. He was given an 11-game suspension by the NFL, and after he served his bid, when he finally took snaps in December 22, the results were disappointing. He looked nothing like the Houston version of himself, rusty, erratic, and dealing with injuries. Deshaun failed to deliver. In back-to-back seasons 2023 and 2024, he suffered season-ending injuries, both Achilles tears, that wiped out each year's hopes. Now in 2025, he's still on the roster, but the team is currently still trying to find their guy to lead their franchise. Speaking about the guy who's going to be the QB1 this year, the Browns doubled down again, drafting not 1 but 2 quarterbacks. One being Dillon Gabriel, a college journeyman who played for UCF, Oklahoma, and Oregon, was taken in the 3rd round. He got experience, quick reads, and a high school football IQ, but scouts question his arm strength and long-term ceiling. Most see him as a high-end backup. Then there's Shedeur Sanders, the flashy name with a famous dad. Once projected top 10 quarterback, he slid to the 5th round. The resume is there, the talent maybe, but questions about his attitude, focus, and Deion's shadow make him a polarizing figure. Some fans are hyped, others see drama. One thing's for sure, in Cleveland, nothing is guaranteed, and the quarterback spiral isn't done spinning. If you made it this far, you already know both Chicago and Cleveland have earned their reputation as quarterback graveyards. But now it's time to put them head to head. Who really did it worse? Which franchise turned quarterback dreams into dust more effectively? Let's break it down. Let's start with the numbers. The Bears had over 18 different quarterbacks to start a game between 2010 and 2025. That's a full lineup of starters who came and went like a bad reality showcast. From Jay Cutler to Mitchell Trubisky to Justin Fields and now Caleb Williams. Chicago could never seem to lock in that guy. But Cleveland laughed and said, hold my beer. The Browns started 27 different quarterbacks through that same time. Colt McCoy, Brandon Weeden, Johnny Manziel, Baker Mayfield, Tyrod Taylor, Deshaun Watson, the list is endless. One-year wonders, injury replacements, rookies thrown to the wolves. If a quarterback had a name, Cleveland probably started him at some point. It's hard enough to succeed in the NFL. Try doing it with a new coach every other year. Chicago had 5 different coaches during this time and is now on their 6th with Ben Johnson. Every coach brought their own system, their own staff, and their own idea of what a franchise quarterback should look like. But guess who paid the price? The quarterbacks. And then there's Cleveland. They had 8 different coaches, and each one promised a culture change, but each one left with a worse record than they started. No quarterback had time to develop because no system stayed long enough to build around. Quarterbacks weren't nurtured here, they were sacrificed. And let's talk about the noise. Chicago fans don't play, booing Trubisky at Bulls games, chanted for Justin Fields while Dalton was still warming up, brutal. And the media isn't any softer. Chicago radio and sports TV lit up every quarterback misstep like it was a national scandal. But Cleveland might have perfected the art of the hype to hype pipeline. Johnny Manziel was treated like a king coming out of college. By the next year, he was a punchline. Baker Mayfield broke a playoff drought and still got ran out of town. But one thing's for sure, you can't build a house without a foundation, and both teams tried to build mansions on quicksand. Justin Fields took 36 sacks in 12 games in his rookie season. He was running for his life. The Bears' offensive line had been near the bottom of the league for years, and every young quarterback paid for it in bruises. Colt McCoy, same story. He was sacked 23 times in 8 games. Cleveland drafted quarterbacks with no intentions of protecting them. The hits piled up, so did the injuries. No quarterback could truly shine when they were getting blindsided every Sunday. And finally, the heart of the issue, the front office. Chicago traded up to draft Trubisky at number 2, passed on Mahomes and Watson, then declined his 5th-year option and fired the coaching staff. That's a masterclass in how not to build a team. Cleveland said, watch this. They traded 3 first-round picks for Deshaun Watson with 20+ civil lawsuits pending, gave him $230 million guaranteed, and now 3 years later are banking on 2 new rookies to make some shake. Both teams drafted quarterbacks for schemes that didn't last, hired coaches who didn't fit, and made decisions that left their young quarterbacks with 0 shot at stability. It's like trying to grow flowers in a hurricane. It's not going to happen. So here we are, after diving into the wreckage of 2 franchises, watching tape after tape of broken promises, horrible pocket protection, and post-game pressures soaked in disappointment, it's time to ask the final question. So who wins the title of quarterback graveyard? Is it the Windy City or the Dog Pound? Let's be real, both teams have turned quarterbacking into a cautionary tale, but each city did it in their own flavor of dysfunction. It has come to fathers trying to protect their sons because they know that some franchises have killed that position. So who's worse? The Bears have been starved for quarterback greatness. The Browns have been stuffed with quarterback mediocrity. One city kept waiting for their prince to come. The other kept crowning imposters. In both cities, quarterbacks were expected to save the franchise with a cape stitched from busted protection schemes and fans' expectations.